Hey guys, welcome back to Honkai Star Rail. In today's video, I want to talk about Trailblazer level 65 and what essentially happens there and the changes it makes to the game for you guys. Now, a couple of these are quite tedious for me, the changes. One specific one, which is the simulated universe, because for me personally, it got a lot harder. Now, keep in mind on this account, I am only using 4-star characters plus the MC at E0 with free light cones. So if you have a more stacked account, it will be easier, but just keep in mind, I think by the time you get to this stage as a free-to-play player, if you are, your gear may not be as, you may not have as much gear as me, because I got a lot of my leveling through farming gear, whereas a free-to-play player, once they get to this level, they'll probably get a lot of their leveling through daily quests and stuff like that. For instance, on my free-to-play account, I notice I'm Trailblazer level 57, and by that stage on this account, I was stacked with gear, but on that account, I feel like I've got absolutely no gear. So there is a bit of a difference, but this is from the perspective of this account, which is using just 4 stars, E0, free-to-play light cones and stuff like that. But I want to give you guys the roundup. The first one being Relic Farming. So we unlock the final difficulty of the Relic Farming over in the Cavern of Corrosion and also in the simulated universe, where we have increased drop rates. Now, if we go and just take a quick look at it, and we jump into this one, for instance, you'll see we unlock difficulty 6 just above my head there, which before that we were over here. Now, it does, both of these do only show the 2 drops, but this one does have a chance at a third 5-star piece to drop. Now, I did some testing. I'll show you guys over here. And I'll keep testing this and let you guys know in like community posts and stuff if the numbers change. But essentially, I've got a bunch of screenshots here from the last 2 days worth of refreshes that I did on the drops. Now, you can pretty much ignore these essentially. But what I want to show you is here, because you can't really see that. Out of 24 here, and then I did 3 on stream as well, we ended up with 4 triple drops. So if you look over here, I'll just go through them. There's a triple, there's a triple. We actually had back-to-backs, and then we kept going. These are all just screenshots off my phone. And then we had another one, and then we keep going, and then we had another one there. So we had 4 all up from those, and that was from 27 runs that I've tested. So, you know, it's around that 1 in 6 to 1 in 7 chance so far. Maybe it could be as low as 1 in 5. It is a small sample size, but the drop chance of them is not like a must-get thing. It's not like crazy ridiculous. It's sort of like that nice surprise when you're farming. Oh, there's a third one. Nice. It's not like, it's not as big of an impact as any of the other levels where you go from guaranteed 1 to 50% chance at 2 to guaranteed 2 to you know, and then from there we get this, which is like a very low chance at 3. So it's not like a thing you've got to rush to TL65 for these drops, because like I said, it's not that important. And then now reflecting back on previous Trailblazer levels, when you look at things, I made a whole video talking about when things are at their most efficient. Just to recap on that, if we look at over here and we go to our farming section, Calyx Golden, these get into max efficiency once you're level 50, meaning level 50 is when you unlock the highest difficulty. Both of these ones unlock at Trailblazer level 60. They get this hardest difficulty, and then the Cavern of Corrosion gets their hardest difficulty at level 65. But like I said, it's nothing crazy. It's not like it completely changes the world. So from Trailblazer level 60, which I feel like a lot of free-to-play players may be approaching Trailblazer level 60 now, I just say farm whatever you feel like farming or you think you need. If you think you want relics, don't be like, I don't want to farm relics until 65. That's what I did on this account. I was like, I don't want to farm relics again until 65 because it's going to be at max efficiency and I'm going to be getting like a ton more drops. To me, so far, it doesn't feel like that impactful. So whatever you feel like you want to or need to farm, just go ahead and farm it. It's not going to be the end of the world. Yes, it will be a tiny bit less efficient, but you know, if it was the fact that once we got to TL65 that it was like a 50% chance at getting a third drop every time, then yeah, I'd put more weight on that. But essentially, it's not the end of the world. Now, the next thing I want to go to is the simulated universe, because this got a lot harder for me myself. So for me personally, over here in Simulated Universe World 6, you can see I haven't cleared it yet. I tried it twice, and this was always my go-to team, where I could reliably do it on full auto, skipping every enemy that I didn't have to fight, only going to occurrences, and if it was like one of those occurrences with like, you know, a 40% chance to get a curio, and then if you lose it you had to do a battle, I would skip all of them. So at worst case I would only have 1 upgrade to my path resonance. Best case I would have 2. I never really got 3 by skipping a bunch of enemies, but essentially I could always easy auto farm this, and this was my quick clear one if I was trying to get the, you know, the weekly 33 run resources. I never do 33 a week, but you know, I'd sometimes do a few extras, and this was like my go-to really quick fight. However, I tried it twice. I got 2 upgrades on my resonance, got to Cocolia, and she wiped me on phase 3 both times. So this has definitely gotten harder for me. Once again, I'm using 4 stars E0 free light cones, so if you got a stacked account, it may not be the case once you get there, but for me, this definitely got a ton harder, and also the bosses seem so much chunkier. Now, I referenced that because if we go over back to where I've normally been farming to get my planet ornaments, which is over here in World 3, which is the Japard boss, this is my go-to team. Now, this team was the same. If I wanted to farm some relics here, I'd just take this team in. I'd auto through everything. You know, whether I only got 1 upgrade to my resonance or 2 upgrades, it wouldn't matter. We'd still easy clap it pretty quick. Now, I went through this one just before. We did clear it, but I only got 1 path resonance, so I didn't get the crit damage one. I only got the energy restoring one for the preservation. And with this, my fight against Japard, like we cleared him, but the fight against Japard alone took 17 minutes. So the big change for me in the simulated universe is I think for farming it, I'd have to do more testing, but I'm not going to like go ahead and try and farm this for 33 runs a week at the moment. It feels so tedious, to be honest. But, for me, I think it might be faster, and it's definitely once you get there, test it out yourself if you are doing those kind of farms, but it might be faster to actually fight through every enemy. Like I said before, I was skipping enemies, going to occurrences. Maybe it might be better to go into combat every time, fight every enemy so that you can get more upgrades so that your boss fights are quicker. To me, that would probably be the play. So when I look to farming these planner ornaments from World 3, I'm going to take in my same preservation team. It's just the safest for me with Japard that I can full auto it, but I'm going to go in and I'm going to fight every enemy instead of skipping them to try and speed it up, because that skipping them, if I don't get the double path resonance, I feel like it's actually going to slow me down in the entire run. So I think going through and killing every enemy and getting as many blessings as you can and upgrading your resonance as far as you can is going to be the play in these once you get to that TL65 type range. Now, the other thing to consider is the world farm. Now, I haven't done the full world farm since I got to 65 to check it, but the enemies have definitely got a little bit tougher. I don't think it's like the enemies in the world to me aren't as like hard, they haven't got as hard at the same rate as the enemies in the simulated universe. For instance, this is not my farming team, so if I chuck my farming team in, which is going to be this here, where's Serval? I just like doing this for coverage. That'll be fine. Sometimes I bring Dan, but yeah, if we just do this and we run in and we take a look at an enemy. Now the drops do increase as well in both of them, but it's not enough. To me, if you didn't want to do world farm and simulated universe farm at Trailblazer level 60, I don't think 65 is going to change your mind. So, but when you look at the actual difficulty of it and how hard it is, this is just sort of a look at my standard farm. I mean, Zilla peeps probably have an easier time. I believe I must have the tack boots on, because normally my QQ's a little bit better than this, but she's playing it pretty average. But as you can see, it is still pretty slow. It wasn't super fast for me at 65 either. I think it took me like, I can't remember. I said it in the video. I can't remember the last time I timed it, but I think it was over an hour to do the world farm. But that's a basic look at the enemies. They're not crazy. That's a look at the drops. Like that one enemy was 138 credits. But yeah, I don't know. I still think if you weren't doing it at TL60, I don't think this is going to like twist your arm unless you get to the stage where you're like, okay, now I've got nothing else really to do in the game. You finished the events, then you can go ahead and start doing it. But essentially, that is the biggest changes at TL65. Like I said, the gear drops 1 in 6, maybe 1 in 5 to 1 in 7 is where I would round it out to. You'll get the extra drop. But I'll keep, if I find completely different statistics as I keep tracking it, as I farm over the next few days, I will let you guys know in a community post. If it's a massive difference, I'll let you know in a video, but that's just, you know, small sample size so far. That's what I'm seeing. 1 in 5 to 1 in 7 is probably the range we're looking at for those. Simulated Universe, for me, definitely got harder. For people that have stacked accounts with, you know, your Zealas and your Bronyas and stuff, probably still easy clapping it, so it's not as big of an issue. And yeah, the world farm doesn't seem to have changed too much in general in difficulty. But that is it for TL65, guys. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.